Okay. I'm annoyed by this game. Um, when I played Overwatch 7 years ago, I came with the ambition of it being a competitive game, where you were rewarded for being a better player, and if you were smarter, more mechanically better, then you would perform better, right? Makes sense to me. However, I've been running into a lot of cases where that is just simply not true, and it hasn't been for a long time, and I kind of want to go over why. Firstly, I want to talk about balance, even though I do this all the time. Now, obviously, the game will never be perfectly balanced. That's fairly clear. And we're never going to agree on balance. That's also fairly clear. However, I believe something we can all agree on is that currently the game is very imbalanced in terms of role strength. So, not even necessarily like individual heroes, which are definitely overpowered in some way, but like in general, the role imbalance is the worst. Like, there's no way you can unironically compare the tank role to like the support role, right? Or even the support role to the DPS role in some instances, because support is just simply a stronger version of DPS, right? Which is fine. But like, my main actual issue with balance currently, in terms of the role imbalance, is the fact that support heroes in general get off so light, right, compared to other things. Like imagine you're a ball player, and you're like playing ball or whatever. You need to know like really good techs. You need to know all the techs. You need to have really good mechanics. You need to perfect the movement. You have to have good game sense. You have to have really good engage timing. Like, there's so much shit that you have to be really, really good with on ball, right? And that doesn't necessarily apply to every tank. Like Orisa, for example. Like, I can admit it, Orisa's a pretty brain-dead hero. You really don't need much brain power or cognitive function at all to perform adequately on that hero. And I think that's okay to a degree, but it's also not, because she's a little too strong. But I digress. The main purpose of my point was the fact that, think about how challenging Ball is, and he's like one of the really, really harder tanks, also like Doomfist as well. He's like one of the harder tanks. Who's like one of the hardest supports? Probably like Ana is probably up there, and Lucio, probably Lucio is the hardest support. And I'm okay with that, even though I think Lucio's a little bit weak right now. I'd prefer if he was a little stronger. But that's not where my main complaint is. My main complaint is there are heroes in the game that are unironically like Kiriko, Baptiste, Ana, shit like that, where they're just kind of like, they're considered difficult, but they're not, right? And it kind of rings true when you queue up into like any GM lobby at all, and like essentially every top 500 support you get in your game is some guy who used to be gold 2 years ago, but is now unironically like GM1 support player, and he plays Baptiste, and he's horrible, and he just doesn't know how to play the game, but he wins a lot of the time because his role is just so broken, and it essentially plays it for him. Like, I don't know how we're still, years later, implementing things like Immortality Field, Protection Suzu, Life Grip, Healing Pylon. Like, it's all a little bit too much, in my opinion. Now, obviously, some people think Healing Pylon is okay. I'm not generally a huge fan of it because, again, it is quite literally just press button, get value, and I'm not normally a huge fan of press button, get value types of things, especially in Overwatch, but in general. I do like the new support a lot, though. She is definitely very well designed. My only problem is the Healing Pylon is a little bullshit, and it just kind of takes a lot of skill away from the support role. Like, there was already not really all that much skill required, and now there's basically zero with the implementation of Larry being in the game, where you just essentially put your Healing Pylon down, and now you can just shoot people all day and do shitloads of damage. And, like, we're not even going to act like her aim is difficult, or, like, killing people with her is difficult, because it's not. Like, the size of her bullets are, like, the size of a freight train. Like, I'm sorry, if you're unironically missing on Larry, then I don't know, go play like checkers or something, because it's borderlining on actually impossible to miss with this hero with how stupidly large her actual thing is, like her projectile, even though she's hit scan. I think that's pretty problematic. Obviously, there's also other issues, like I mentioned, Healing Pylon, but I think the biggest issue right now is the fact that the numbers on things is just generally too high. Like, the damage numbers in the game are too high, the healing is too high, and that's kind of AIDS, right? Because sometimes you're just walking around and you just die, and you're like, yeah, okay, I don't really know how that occurred. And a lot of the time, especially for newer players, or just players who genuinely aren't very good, they run into a lot of situations where they just kind of die, and they're like, okay, but why though? But like, how do I learn from the fact that I'm dead here? And then it's like, you don't really learn, you kind of just died. There's like the game doesn't give you enough information to learn why you died, you just kind of died. And that sucks, right? But like, when there's shit in the game like Immortality Field, where basically all you have to do to use it is press a button and get a shitload of value, it's kind of super lame to play against. Like, I remember back in the day, like a little bit before Brig, support was genuinely an admired role because it was very difficult to play, right? And if you got really good support players in your team, you know instantly, because they were very, very good at their role. However, nowadays, you know, trying to differentiate between like a really good support player and just like kind of a average one is really difficult, because the skill ceiling is so easy to hit now, and the skill floor is so high that it's like, you could give me like ML7 on my team on Ana, or like some like random guy who just got top 500 after being gold for 5 years, and it's like, sure, I could notice that ML7's probably a better Ana player, but like the other guy really isn't doing all that much to differentiate himself, because you really don't have to do all that much on Ana to be really good. You just kind of have to land your cooldowns, know how to position, and that's kind of it. There's nothing really else to it. You don't really need good mechanics. You don't really need like really amazing accuracy, or I mean, like, Ana is like 95% positioning, and once you've got that down, she's kind of just really fucking easy, to be honest. And it's the same with like Kiriko, who's, I'm not gonna lie, quite literally brain dead. I mean, like, you can teleport like 15 or 30 meters. I don't actually remember the number. I don't really think it's relevant. I think the fact that she can teleport through walls is enough, regardless of the distance. So you can teleport through walls, and you can throw protection scissors where you cleanse everything and you like heal and you fucking make people invincible, and it's just kind of bullshit. It's like, think about like a ball player, for example. Like, imagine you roll through the enemy team, you get like a huge PD on the supports properly, like you isolate a 1v1, like you play absolutely perfectly. You could not have played it better. And then there's like, all the Kiriko has to do is like, after all that work that you performed trying to get there, the Kiriko just teleports across the map and presses a button and makes it's just like lame, right? It's just super lame, and it feels like shit to play against. And as the Kiriko player, it feels lame as fuck as well, because your entire skill set boils down to pressing a button, and it just kind of like, not only are you making support brain dead easy to play and really overpowered, you're also taking all of the skill expression out of it, where it's like, I used to really love playing support, right? I've always been a big support fan in general. I used to play a lot of Ana back in Overwatch 1, and I still play a lot of Ana now. And I would say, honestly, like, it's way, way easier to rank up on support now than it was back then. And that's obviously going to be true, because playing support back then was genuinely a difficult thing to do. But now it's like, I mean, think of it like your average high-level Kiriko player. What do? They throw kunais at people, and they teleport across the map in Suzu, and that's kind of it. Like, there's not really much else to it. Like, I'm pretty sure you could probably get top 500 on Kiriko with, like, bronze mechanics and just, like, diamond game sense. Like, I'm talking about, like, Overwatch 1 diamond game sense. And you could probably be, like, closing in on top 500 relatively easily, because the hero kind of plays themselves. I mean, they don't really do all that. Like, you don't really need to do all that much, because you have so much. Like, your skill floor is just so high that it's kind of like, you know, it's not really impressive anymore. Like, back in the day when you saw like your support player pop off, you're like, holy shit, my support player was crazy. Now a support player popping off is like, I don't know, they threw a grenade, like their anti-nade, and it hit 2 people, and like, they didn't die to the tracer diving them, and it's just like, that's your support being crazy at the game now. And it's like, it's just kind of super fucking lame, to be honest, because I don't want support to just be push button, herder, push button, you know what I mean? But like, that's what it is, right? That is quite literally what the role is now. And I'd love for someone to disagree and tell me why. As a support main, it feels really fucking boring queuing into this role and going, nice, I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes pushing buttons and winning the game. And it's like, I don't need to show any skill expression. I don't need to be challenged. I don't need to be mechanically or game sense challenged. I don't need like really good rotations, pathing, cooldown. I don't need any of that anymore because all of the heal, all of the damage, the cooldowns, all the ults, they're just too much. It's just all kind of bullshit right now. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, but like it especially rings true with Larry. Like healing pylon is just kind of bullshit. I mean, it's easy to deal with, sure, but you just kind of throw it on the wall, and then that's it. That's it. Your team is getting healed now. And I think that's just kind of lame, right? There's no difficulty to it. And some people go, yeah, but that's kind of the same for Lucio. And you said Lucio is a difficult support. Yeah, but Lucio has a lot more to him than just push button, right? You need very good mechanics to do well on Lucio. You need really good game sense. You need to know how to take a duel. You need to know how to win those duels, right? You're lower damage, so you need to be able to hit more headshots on average. Like, it is generally more difficult to win a duel on Lucio because he's got low damage, slow-moving projectiles that aren't super big, and you need to be really close. You need to have really good wall riding and movement mechanics to do well. But on, like, Larry to win a 1v1, you just kind of click people, like, who are, like, 40 meters away, and you click them again, and then they're dead. And because, like, the size of your shooting hitbox is just so, like, babied that it's borderline impossible to fuck up. Like, you could have diamond mechanics and essentially just two-tap every squishy in the game, like, 80% of the time. Because it's really not that hard, because it's so easy to shoot on this hero. And it just feels lame. You know, a lot of people know me as the guy who hates support and shit like that and thinks it's too overpowered, and I agree. I still take that stance that it's way too strong, but that's not even my main gripe with support right now. It's not that it's way too strong, because that can obviously be fixed with, like, balance changes, and they're trying to balance it out a little bit. I mean, Protection Suzu is still in the game, and, like, fucking Immortality Field is still in the game, and Healing Pylon is still in the game, and it's like, it's all kind of bullshit, right? And they shouldn't be there, but it is, right? But they're doing a better job at creating supports that take a little bit more skill with Larry, even though 90% of our gameplay is pushing the Healing Pylon button. But it is what it is, right? I want supports like they were back in the day, where you could not just brain dead your way to GM like you can now. I want genuine skill expression. I want the heroes to be difficult to play. I want them to reward you for doing difficult tasks, mechanically or game sense wise, and you should be rewarded by winning more games. But right now, 90% of the good support players are doing the exact same thing as the diamond support players, because the skill floor is insanely low and the skill floor is insanely high and the skill ceiling is insanely low, right? My main issue with support right now isn't that it's really overpowered, even though that is a big issue. It's that it's really fucking easy to play, and it just feels shit for the support players and for the people playing against them. At least for me, anyway. Like, I think it's lame as fuck to, like, hard dive a Kiriko player, and then she just teleports away, and you're like, that just feels lame. That just feels super fucking lame. That's super lame. And it's lame for the Kiriko player as well, because they know they can get away with it. They're just like, I'm just going to stand wherever the fuck I want. I don't care where I stand, because I know for a fact if anyone ever engages me, I can either two-tap them and they just fucking die because my hero does too much damage, or I just teleport across the map, or I wall climb, or I abuse my tiny hitbox where I can just walk left and right and basically be invincible, or I can Protection Suzu. It's just like, you have so much shit to your kit. It's just kind of really fucking lame to play against, and it's fucking lame to play as well. And that's really all I wanted to talk about. Is you can have overpowered supports, sure, man, like, it is what it is, but I think the lame part is that they're so fucking easy to play. Anyway, that was me mauling about supports for the 7th time this week. Mwah! I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.